The problem that people have with learning and knowledge is that we, as human beings, are containers, and there's only so much knowledge that we can hold. And what the problem is that most of the knowledge that we acquire in life is worldly knowledge. It isn't spiritual knowledge. And the more worldly knowledge that we push into ourselves, by the way, I'm going to read, what is it? Where? I can't find it. Oh, yeah, let me see. Anyway, when I find it, I'll read it to you. It was from another version, but I can't find it. But anyway, the point of the matter is the more worldly knowledge that we have, the harder it is to uncover the secrets, the spiritual knowledge in life.
In the world, there's two kinds of knowledge. One kind is one allow us to survive. For example, we all need to work. So that's why we go to kindergarten, we go to elementary school, high school, junior high, high school, and we go to college. And eventually, maybe we get a degree, get a certificate, and we have a skill. Then we can use that skill to feed ourselves. So that's one kind of knowledge that we all need as a human. But then there's another kind of knowledge, which is knowledge has to do with our knowing ourselves. So those knowledge most people do not focus on, and those knowledge are the teaching from Jesus, from the Bible, from in Buddhism. There's a lot of scripture. So is the Tao knowledge, the Tao Te Ching, the Confucius teaching. So like what Robert said, we focus more on the first kind of knowledge, the knowledge that enable us for survival, but we tend to ignore the second knowledge. So Lao Tzu's teaching kind of help us to reinforce or complement our second category of knowledge. Thank you, Robert.
Exactly. Naman, do you want to go to Joanna's 70? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So let me read my version, chapter 70. My words are very easy to understand, and they are very easy to practice. On this two line, Lao Tzu is talking about, he already mentioned chapter 1 to chapter 69, because right now we are in 70. So Lao Tzu feel that most people cannot understand what he's saying. But Tao is very easy. It's just follow the nature, follow the yin and yang, and follow your conscience. But he continued on, the world can hardly understand and can hardly practice it. They are source in my word. So he's talking about all this teaching are Tao, and Tao come from the source. So everything that he teach, it's all about the origin, how to be the light, how to be the little God of ourselves, how to manifest Tao. And let's continue. There are authoritative law for the deed. So all this thing Lao Tzu try to teach us is that it's the Tao and the De, how to manifest Tao into our behavior. And because most people do not understand me, and those who understand me are few, thus I become honored. And because most people don't understand what Tao Te Ching is about, most people do not understand what Tao is about. That's why my teaching becomes so precious. That's why you see on this line says, then I become so honored. Here, it's referred to that everything that I have to teach to the people about the Tao and the De and the virtue, how to be a sage, how to live with your own conscience. All these teaching are very precious. And Lao Tzu go on, thus the sage wearing the coarse hem cloth. So why does Lao Tzu mention about wears the coarse hem cloth? This is it shows that a person who practices Tao and the De. It's a very simple person that does not flatter, and it's somebody that go in front of your eyes that you don't even notice, because that person may look very, the person's clothes look very inexpensive, look very insignificant. It's not flashy. Yet let's continue on. While this person carry jade in his bosom. So even though he's wearing a very simple cloth, but there's a beautiful jewel inside of him. And this jewel, we know Lao Tzu is referring to. He's referring to this person has very good virtue. He has Tao within him. And he has this beautiful diamond. And that diamond is our conscience. And that's, I feel that the last sentence just talks about every one of us.
This particular chapter and chapter 5 are very controversial in the Tao Te Ching. I read somewhere that the Khmer Rouge in the 1980s or 90s, I mean, they killed 1 million people in Cambodia, and they used perhaps chapter 3 to sort of keep people on the land, to keep people down, to keep people ignorant. And in my view, the Tao Te Ching is a spiritual vessel. It has spiritual answers. Lao Tzu never would try to control people in a physical way. In my view, Lao Tzu is trying to, and there is manipulation, a kind of feeling that there is some manipulation. It says, thus a spiritual leader empties the heart and fills the gut, weakens desires, and builds strong frames. And then in the more orthodox, it says that it keeps people unknowing or without knowledge. And that does imply some manipulation. But in my view of this chapter, Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching is saying that there's a spiritual person in us that, Joanna was talking about Tao and Da. In my view, the closest thing to Tao that a human being can know is love. And so, again, love and virtue, or love and goodness, Tao and Da. If a person does not have a foundation, a strong foundation of Tao and Da, love and goodness, you could even go love and God, actually. If you don't have a foundation of that, then any knowledge that you acquire in life is going to be a problem, because for every innovation that humanity comes up with, there are 10 different bombs that they could also come up with. And then finally, we've come up with the atom and the H bomb. We pushed ourselves to the point where we either better start getting along, or we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Right now, it looks like we're in a lot of trouble. And I think what this chapter is saying is that the spiritual person in us will not allow somebody to know the secrets, the real secrets in life, unless they are, and I know it doesn't say this exactly, unless people have a foundation of love and goodness. In my opinion, people have gotten a long ways away from using their intuition. If you use your intuition, you can gather knowledge, a folder, hundreds of folders at one time.
Fortunately, we are living in a society where in the environment, people encourage us to admire the influential. Look in the billboard, look in the, I don't say TV commercial, the social media commercial, especially if you've seen a lotto. It used to be like they have this lotto advertising, and then there's a nice house, nice car, and a beautiful girl or a handsome man, and that tells you that it's like creating something, trigger your desire to have more money, and money is equivalent to status. When you go to the mall, there's a lot of poster, or even the showcase has a lot of luxury items accompanied with beautiful girl, handsome man, and that encourage you to do plastic surgery. That in the society, there's so many things that can disturb your mind. So Lao Tzu say the sage's management is to empty their mind. We want to clean our mind. Do not let those infomercial pollute our mind, and feel their belly. And here Lao Tzu talking about feel the belly. He's talking about the spiritual knowledge. We need to increase our spiritual learning. And because our mind has been polluted, it's like we have a diamond in us, but this diamond um, has been polluted with layers and layers of scum. I'm talking about the scum in the toilet or in the shower on the glass, and it takes you hours trying to get rid of them. So we also have that scum in us, on our diamond. So it does take time to clean ourselves. That's why we take the time to study Taoji. That's why we take the time to come to temple.
This was making me think of restaurant work. From the age of 15 until my early 30s, I worked in restaurants. I no longer work in restaurants, but I've worked at a lot of restaurants that were successful and a lot of ones that were not successful. And the ones I worked at, I'm thinking of just restaurant management. The sage's management is to empty their minds and fill their bellies. Most of the restaurants I worked at that were successful would feed their employees and would kind of not have real ridiculously strict rules like training manuals and stuff. You'd just be welcome to the crew, and they'd give you lunch and show you how to do things. And people kind of didn't have a lot of pretension about their job. And so they didn't have this big ambition to fit into this system, but there would be like team building things where you felt like a family, which strengthening their bones, strengthening the frames or the structure of the team was kind of built through just sort of a natural, holistic family environment. And since there weren't so many rules to break or anything, nobody was trying to cleverly get around the system. People just worked together and had a team. And I noticed that the restaurants that operated that way usually had a lot more revenue and a lot longer longevity. I've worked at restaurants that closed within like a year of opening, and others that had been open for 25 years and were just massively successful. And usually the successful ones had less rules, more friendliness amongst the staff, more small perks like a meal. I once worked with the bartender who said, "You always give your bar back a bottle of wine, because if you don't, he'll still three."
The more we learn, the more things are plowed into our minds. The more we follow Tao, the more things are taken out of our minds. I kind of like his interpretation of that too.
In quest of learning, when we learn so much, sometimes we start to compare, and when we compare, then we have expectation, and when expectation comes, then that's where suffering comes in, and then you acquire anger, right? You acquire anger, jealousy, and envy, and just so many things that come into your life. And then imagine your mind is like a lake of water, and then you start to stir things from the mud, and your lake becomes so crowded and so polluted. So it does take some time for the sediment to sink down. Maybe it takes few hours or few days until it become clear, so that all the mud can settle on the ground. The clear water goes on the top. Thank
So
you,
maybe
Robert.
we could say the top line represents maybe complications, and that in the quest for Tao, there's simplicity.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So on the third line, decrease it again and again until there's no intentional doing. Yeah, this is what Lao Tzu really wants. This is our ultimate state of mind. But right now, if we are just start learning about how to clean ourselves, I do have to say that we have to do it intentionally. We do have to kind of force us. I'm like every day I must spend some time with Tao Te Ching. Every day I must spend some time to clean myself. Every day I must spend some time to get some spiritual food. So we have to do that intentionally. And the way to look at it is just like it's like the kids. We have to teach the kids certain good behavior to have a jump start. And then after that, once the kids learn that skill, then the kids can do things on his or her own. So now most of us are, I will say, in our mid-age, and we haven't done a good job in cleaning ourselves. So in terms of cleaning ourselves, we have to do it intentionally at first.
Lao Tzu says basically that you can see everything if you go inside yourself and you look within. That's basically, I think, his what his main message in this chapter. And as your understanding and insight increase, your accumulation of knowledge decreases.
Lao Tzu talks about, I think in Buddhism also have the same teaching too. Buddha say, you need to look into yourself. Jesus saying the kingdom of God is within you. And Lao Tzu say, if you don't go out, you can, from your own home, you can know the world. That's true. But the problem is, we cannot look inside of ourselves. A lot of time, we don't even know ourselves. Have you ever come to a point where you say you are angry and the other person say, are you angry? You say, no, I'm not. So sometimes we don't even know if we are angry. Sometimes we don't even know we lose our temper. We are not even honest to ourselves. Sometimes we feel depressed and I say, I'm doing fine. Here is the problem. Lao Tzu say, just look into yourself. But the problem is we don't even know ourselves. How can we look into ourselves?
To me, what I interpret that to mean is by looking inside of myself from my own home, the home of my body and my mind, I can understand the world because the world works the same way that I work because I'm part of the world. That's what I that's just my opinion.
No, exactly. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
just by looking inside, I can understand what another person is feeling. You know, I can understand, why people are angry because I can understand my own anger. That's what it makes me think about.